Hey, it's Doom here from DungeonSwag. Well, Dungeons and Doom Biscuits is my YouTube channel. And here we are with the June box. I've hit them with a sort of a zenithal. I did it a little different than normal. What I did is some brown tones because they're like Viking barbarian people and there's going to be a lot of browns in the minis. So I didn't want their undercoat to be dark black. So what I have here is I'm going to pick 1 through 6 with this D6 I made hastily out of foam last time. And we're doing number 3, which is the Shaman. So let's take a minute and let's paint this guy. When I say take a minute, it's probably going to be a little longer than a minute if I'm honest. Alright. So with the last guys, I did like a red and a blue, and with these guys I'm going to do browns and maybe a green, I think. So let's take a look at Homeboy here and see where we start at. So I think the smartest move would be to grab some darker speed paint. Oh, I just spilled like a fool. I can't find the toilet paper. Oh, there it is. All right. So we got our dark brown here. It's called dark wood, I believe. Dark wood. And we're going to get inside here. And no, I want to get his undergarments with this dark brown. My brush is a little wonky. I think I left a little soap in it. Alright, there we go. We're just going to hit all those undergarments up with this dark brown. Yes, I have the fan on. It's like 200 degrees here. And you might say, Doom, you're overreacting. There's no way it's 200 degrees. Well, you know what? You're not here, so shut up. Alright. So we got that undergarment in brown. I think we caught all of that we can really catch. I think it looks alright. And I want to do his like skirt part and the thing coming up on his chest here in a green. Now I don't use a lot of these green speed paints. I've done like some of the whatever the generic work flesh color is. But I think what I want to do with this one is I saw a camo cloak. I want to try that. Wipe out the brush a little bit. Pull that out some. Get an idea what it looks like. I want this to be a very dark, rich green. Oh, that is. Okay. That is going to be a nice color for this. So this guy's kind of like shamanistic or a druid maybe. See, there's a skeletal hand on his thing. In this situation, on those like skeletal hands and stuff, you kind of got to hit that to make sure the cloth under it gets hit. He's got like a little skull on his belt there, so we're going to kind of get up around that carefully. Let's do this chest part here where the bear wraps around. Do that in this green too. Okay, he's got a pouch or a book or something there, and he's got a bunch of crap going on. Alright, so let's just kind of make sure I caught all those spots to where it's going to bleed around and fill up the little pools and look nice. So there's the green. I kind of want to do this under part of his this thing. It's like armor piece here in green. Let's get that other side. Woo! Sorry, I was looking at some pro wrestling memes at work today. So I got like that Ric Flair woo in my head. Alright, I think that's going to do what we want to do there. Got some good coverage. Let's hit this little... There we go. Alright. Let's wipe off our brush, get some of that speed paint out of it. Let's see what we're going to do next. Alright, I think while we're waiting for some of that to dry, so we have some more options, we're going to hit the base. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab my craft paint for the base, and I'm going to use this burnt umber. I really like this color. It dries nice and dark. It's rich. It's attractive. We want to miss his sandals the best we can. Now, if you have trouble with the painting in the lines and not getting it on those sandals, go ahead and grab a smaller brush if you have to. And then I want to paint where my baking soda ends. That's where the dirt's going to go to. If you go over on that again, don't sweat it, because we're going to come back around and do the edge in black when we're done. There we go. Sorry, I keep forgetting to have the camera pointed at what we're doing here. Get up under that staff. Now that staff does not actually contact the base. It kind of looks like it does from a distance, but up close it does not contact. I wish it would have for like a more sturdy thing, because you don't want your staffs just snapping. But this stuff's real, you know, all the DungeonSwag stuff is very sturdy, bendable. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't break easily. So we got that done. Let's put this away. Clean that brush out. Alright. I didn't put any rocks on any of these bases, I forgot, and it's kind of at the point where I don't want to come back and do it now. So let's look at what we can do next on this gentleman. We can start on his fur, on the outside of his armor there, or we can start on his staff. I'd say let's do his staff. Let's get this medium tone brown and do his whole staff in that. This is called hardened leather. It's just another Army Painter speed paint. Let's hit his staff up with this. Now there is like a cow skull or something here. And we can just go right up onto that if we want. There's some bandages, some wrappings. We can just get all that because we can bring that down with dry brushes and get what we want out of that later. Okay, we got our stick all done. And I think we're going to do his antlers. No, we're going to wait to do the antlers. Let's pick out some of the small details on his body here. Let's get this horn down here. Inside that horn. And I don't really see anything else we can grab with that. We can hit his sandals and the wraps, or the bottom of his pant legs, not the sandals. Alright, let's get him down for a minute and get this brush wiped out, cleaned out. I use the term clean very loosely. I'm not actually washing my brush. I am just dipping it in soapy water and then wiping it off on a t-shirt. I'm not cleaning it per se. So we have a lot of bone things going on here, and we're going to have to lighten those up. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this mummy robes. There we go. And we're going to come look at some of this bone stuff with a real thin. We have a skull here on his belt. Now, remember what I said about these small detail stuff. You do not have to be any kind of artist with any real artistic talent. If you can color in the lines in a kid's coloring book, and you remember to treat these kind of parts as just coloring in the lines, you can do it, okay? So we got that bone on his, hanging off his waist there. And you might say, oh, Doom, that's super bright. Yeah, it is a little bright. Looks like these are all bones here on his chest. It is super bright. But we're going to lighten this stuff up. We're going to come back to these parts. So it's okay if there's... And that looks like that's a little piece of bone right down there at the bottom. On his little skirt deal here. And there's a ribbon here running down the center of that. I just want to make a couple little white streaks going down that ribbon, so that whenever I hit it with a speed paint later, it does some kind of different effect. There's a belt there. I think we pretty much got the white parts we need to get. Alright, so the staff isn't quite dry, so we can't do anything with that yet. His green's mostly dry. So let's start on his cloak. I got a little piece of support in his ear here, under his antler. Oh, it's not a piece of support, it was just some dust or something. Okay, well anyways, I took care of that, so... Is that still in there? Let's get this Necromancer cloak, it's called. It's just a dark grayish brown. And let's start that fur up with that. Some air bubbles in that paint. I can smell it from here. Yep, look at that, air bubbles. Now the nice thing is, if you miss a little bit on this, because I did like a brown, black to brown to white gradient, like for the zenithal-ish thing I did. Any little spots you miss will be okay. And we'll catch those on the flip side when we're dry brushing. We'll catch that stuff. It'll be the lighter spots that you miss anyways, most likely, hopefully, towards the edges of the bear cloak. We gotta catch the top of his hood. I need a smaller brush to get in there. What do I got? Oh, I like this brush. This is that starter brush. That Army Painter starter brush. And like I said before, it either came with a set or something, or I got it at the store, and I just really like it. It's been good to me. Alright, we gotta get all in there. It's a little more work than I thought. Alright, let's see. Something like that. And then well, that's drying. Let's come with this sand golem here. Ooh, spilled it. And hit some of this little extra stuff here. So let's hit, what was I looking at when I said that? Oh, let's hit the sleeves here on his shirt. Let's hit his sandals down here. Now remember, we have to come back and paint his feet anyways, right? Because they're flesh tone. But since they're in the dark, that same flesh tone that I usually come around with to lighten up the speed paint flesh tone, we're just going to use that to expose the flesh that we want to expose. And we're going to leave it go. We're not going to make a big thing of it, okay? So our goal is to try not to get a bunch of this on that dirt. And then let's see what we can do with that little bit of armor that came out. Where was that at? It's right here. Let's just grab that piece. And make it look like it's a little bit of a different leather. Come around the side of that bone. Paint that piece. His belt. Then I want to do this little skirt part down here. Okay. Something like that. I'm just going to let it dry. Let's start looking at how we're going to handle our bone problems we're having. We got a lot of bone problems here, kids. Let's hit his beard up. Let's do an orange on his beard. I have this Fire Giant orange. Let's get a new tape. Oh, new tape. It's time to switch to new tape. Getting a fair amount of paint on my hand here. Alright. Come back over that a little bit and darken that up a little bit. When that dries, hopefully it looks nice. Alright, so we can either do bones or we can do flesh next. I think bones is probably a good thing to get working on, but what I'm going to need to do some bone stuff to come up here and do the top of this staff. So we're going to jump to flesh, which I'm really thinking is going to end up biting me in the ass. Oh man, that is going to bite me in the ass because oh shit. Oh yeah, here we go. Sorry, excuse my French. Because since we just did that beard, it'll drain that out. When we go to do the face, it'll alright. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm painting this dude's hand. Yay, we're all caught back up now. Alright. Blow on that and hope it doesn't bleed. It's going to bleed. Oh, it did not bleed. Lucky, lucky, lucky. Alright, so since we have this flesh tone out, and I said we were going to do something with that band, that ribbon. We're just going to use that little bit of flesh tone there to cover that. And there's a little piece here. I'm just gonna... Alright, now let's start working on bone. And then we'll build a flesh tone for his skin to lighten that out and bring out the parts we want to bring out. So this is called pallid bone. It's just another speed paint. And I recommend that you use this in thin, really stretched out layers. This is very aggressive when it dries, in my opinion. Okay. Like I said, stretch that out pretty thin. This stuff is... a skull in his hand. In the actual eye sockets itself, we're going to go a little darker. And then in between the fingers and down around the... See, in the eye sockets we wanted it a little thicker so it kind of darkens that up. We're going to do that same thing down here. There we go. Then you just pull it around. And then you just hit some of the bone areas that you didn't think were bright enough. Or dark enough, I mean. And darken those up. Then we're going to use the same, but thicker now, on the antlers. Same pallid bone, but we're going to do it with a different thickness so it's a little bit extra. Alright, he's pretty much done except for some of the footwork and a little bit of base work. And then we got to go around the edge of that base with black paint. We'll do that now while we're waiting for that other stuff to kind of dry. We'll grab that black paint and go around the edge of the base. Oh, I don't want to use that one. I want to use this matte black. Oh, darn it. Wouldn't you know, I just use a ton of it. I'm just going to edge around the base here. You don't want to go real thick. You don't want it to be lumpy. If I had $100, if I had $100, I'd buy them new speed paints, and I wouldn't share them with you. I'd buy new brushes. Yeah, I know I'm terrible. Just ignore me. Just look at the black ring forming around this base. Ignore the singing idiots. Okay, let's do some, get a sheet brush, do a little work on this guy's base. So we're just getting our paint, wiping a lot of it off, not all of it, this is not a dry brush, just wipe some of it off. And we're going to come in here and touch some spots and change the tones of the dirt so it has different tones there. Dirt is not all one color. And we're going to lighten that up a little bit using some of this monster brown. We're going to wipe even more of that off. And we're going to come in here and touch around. Just giving the dirt some different colors and different spots. Nothing too fancy. Okay. I think we got some different colors there now. Let's get rid of this tape and get a new tape. Wash off our crappy brush. Okay. What do we have left to do here? We got to lighten up our skin tone and we got to do something with that skull. So let's look at that skull as our first objective. We want something that we can do a little bit of dry brushing with. We're not going to tear anything we like up in the process. Here we go, I can use this. Let's get a little piece of cardboard. Yeah! Boom! This is called skeleton bone. Nice. Just a little bit there, sir. And we want to get a lot of that off. And we just want to kind of see what happens when we pull this on here. Do we lighten it up some? We do. So we're just going to hit this bone, this like spine and bone kind of top of the staff here. Get a little more paint. I think we need to hit it again. I think it looks alright. I'm going to come back and hit his flesh, put some grass on the base, and I just want to get a lot of that off. I'm just going to come across this staff in some spots, break it up a little bit, just a little bit. Just to give that staff a little weathered wear and tear. And then I want to, maybe not. I kind of want to try it on the cloak just like that. Let's try it on the cloak just like that. Let's lighten that up. Maybe we don't need to do multiple layers of dry brush on that. Let's just pick a safe medium gray. There we go. And then that little bit lighten it up on the antlers on top. Nothing too significant, just a little bit. Lighten up his shoulders a little bit more. See, I'm not even putting more paint. I'm just pushing a little harder and grabbing a little bit more to lighten that up. Looks all right. All right, now we got to do our flesh. Since we already have that skeleton bone, we're going to use that as the lightest possible tone of flesh. And we're going to get some actual barbarian flesh. We're going to get a very small brush. We're going to get some of our pink, some of our white, and we're going to mix them around until we get the first one tone under flesh tone we want, which is going to be a little darker. Alright, that looks like our one skin tone under. We're going to clean that brush off a lot. Not perfectly. We're not dry brushing yet. And we're going to hit some of the spots on his hands that we want to be noticeable. There we go. Make sure you hit this meaty part on his hand here. See, again, I am not a super talented painter. I'm not any kind of super artist or anything. We're just picking out his brow and his nose on his face. We're not going to get all that lightened up. Maybe the top of his cheeks a little bit. And then we're going to do one little bit lighter than that. And we're going to wipe a lot of that off. We don't want much on the brush at all. Okay, and we're just going to touch his tops of his fingers. It's real bright there. A little bit of his thumbnail there. Top of the back of his hand. And we're just going to hit his nose and his eyebrows. Alright. So he looks pretty decent, I think. It was a nice paint. Didn't take long. Looks good. There are two things I'd like to do. Let me wash my brush. Get rid of the cardboard. Alright, first thing I'd like to do is there are some little straps on that, on this thing. I'd like to come back with this sand golem and touch those straps a little bit. Just to give them a different look. Just stand out a little bit. And then on this piece here, I don't really like the way this turned. Dang bug. I don't like the way this belt turned out much. I'd like to darken that up a little bit. And then this, whatever this little moon is on his chest. I'm going to darken those up a little bit. Now I think he looks a lot better. So we can come back and do some green on his base. I'm really excited about this. These June ones are sick. Like, I had a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, on May. But June, these guys, I mean, look at that. That could totally be a druid in your party. That could be an evil druid. That could be part of a Congress unit for a skirmish game. I mean, this guy has lots of potential. And he's got some cool, muted coloring. Nothing too exciting. Even the orange on his beard didn't pop so much that it became insanely aggressive. So I'm very pleased. I knew I was going to love this box whenever we got when we got access to these for printing. All right, so let's going to get a cheap brush. This is a 10/0 spotter 560 plaid Yangtze China. I don't know where it's from. I cut the tip off it because somebody used it in glue and didn't. All right, now this is a druidy dude, and these are like barbarian people. Oh, I forgot to come down and do flesh tone on his feet. I'll have to come back. We'll get that in a second. Let's get our cardboard back out. We have this nice, let me get a little dip of water, see if we can revive this color real quick. This is actually why a wet palette is nice, is for stuff like that. There we go. Let's pick those feet out. That's a little brighter than I wanted to go, so let's get that same little bit of, add a little more pink to those. There we go. That's not bad. All right. Grass. Oh, my spoon. You're probably like, oh, Doom, you slob. Your shit's all covered in... Our glue already started drying. Because, yeah, you know, you got to do such a thin coat. Want to do a lot of green on these bases. Really kind of show that he's in a living world here where there's some excitement and there's some stuff growing. We could go as far as to put some I'm just adding a little more grass because I wanted some. We could put some flocking or some bushes or something on here. I'm not sure if I'm about that life. Let me see what I want to do. I don't really think I have anything I want to use without putting a large amount of effort in. And the goal of these is to have nice miniatures on my table, not artwork. Alright, so this dude is going to get a clear coat job. I'm going to take him upstairs and get a still for the thumbnail. I encourage you guys, if you enjoyed this, or if you like these minis, to check the link in the description. I believe that we still have the get a free mini deal going on our Discord. If you hop on there, Asko has left directions of how you can get a mini mailed to you at no expense to yourself. And then for your first month of subscription, the Biscuits discount code is still in effect for a couple more weeks. So you can go on there. No more people asking shenanigans questions about getting free minis when you've gotten minis before. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome evening, everybody.